Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Wednesdays for Water, an initiative of the W4W Foundation, a think tank instituted as Citizens Collective, we welcome you to the conversation on negotiating the non-negotiable, a journey of reconstructing green for a water-secure Gurugram. The objective of Wednesdays for Water, which was started in April 2021, is to engage in conversation with water experts, grassroots practitioners, citizens, policymakers, and youth to explore the complex intertwined issues associated with water and the possible solutions. We have expanded since then to have more activities like Friday Waters and the Monday Munching with Women for Water, besides organizing water workshops, water walk and talks, seminars, research, special courses, and conference panels to continue the water conversation in various possible ways. Please visit our website, www.w4w.in, for more details. Cities across India are grappling with unprecedented rains and flooding. A lot of it can be attributed to unplanned urbanization and unscientific infrastructure development. Recently, somebody posted a picture of School of Planning and Architecture flooded with water. So these are institutions which are planning, which are engaged in urban planning for our cities. And it was very recent during the last rains of Delhi. And perhaps, this is one of the many buildings that we have built on the Yamuna plain. So today we are really honored to have among us Ms. Latika Thukral, who has been tirelessly working with a team to rebuild the green in Gurugram, both for flood mitigation as well as for water harvesting and conservation. Latika Thukral is a co-founder of Iamgurgaon, an NGO she started in 2008. After that, she has been working with Citibank for 18 years, but she quit her job as senior vice president to pursue her dream of setting up an NGO to contribute to the betterment of Gurugram. Iamgurgaon is a movement that is attempting to create a platform to enable citizens of Gurugram to work towards improving every aspect of life in the Millennium City. The aim is to identify projects and proactively work with the local administration as well as corporates based in Gurugram to augment the green for building a resilient and sustainable city. She was awarded the Nari Shakti Award in 2015 by the President of India and an appreciation award from the Haryana government on Republic Day in 2010. Over to you, Latika. We are really honored to have you today. Thank you very much for taking out time and joining us for this conversation. Especially, it's the right time as well. Every now and then we are seeing cities in India immersed in water, literally. Even prior to the discussion, now we were talking about Ahmedabad city. Similar is the situation, I think, even in states like Rajasthan, which perhaps falls in desert area of India. So I think we would really like to look forward to your interventions that you have been doing and learn from that. I'll share the screen from my end, but over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Fawzia, and thanks, Mansi, for inviting me. I'll start with the disclaimer. I'm not an expert, and I don't claim to be an expert. Yes, in last 14 years, we have been able to do some work in Gurugram, and we've been fortunate that local administration has given us that opportunity. They have worked with us and allowed us to make these interventions, which is helping some parts of the city from flooding. So I'll just give you a little background on what Iamgurgaon stands for. I mean, of course, Fawzia has done a great job of mentioning about us, but the main part of, one of the reasons why we started Iamgurgaon was that we wanted to make a difference. And at no point in time we knew that Iamgurgaon will become what it is become today. We have really taken it to the next level where administration is trusting us to work and give us projects which are making a difference, just not for use for recreation, but as projects would work in making it available for everyone in the city. I mean, these are absolutely becoming public projects. So one of the things which I was told by Fawzia was that we will keep it to the interventions which we have made for water, and I'll kind of concentrate or I'll kind of talk about it. Yeah, I can go on to the second slide. The second slide, I really like this. TOI had this cartoon, and I thought it is so relevant for us today that it is really not a rocket science to urban planning. We really don't need to spend money, do it with little money. It's just that we need common sense. And I can only say is that somebody who's coming, who's a banker, who had no idea, I have no formal education on architecture, landscape architecture. My only understanding is by kind of using my common sense and working with landscape architects and experts to work on projects which have helped us to save some parts of the city from flooding. And another thing which I also want to add is that there will be always a day in a city where our storm water drains will be full, and that's the only day where the flooding will take place. If the water is flowing through, there is not enough water which is required, there is no problem. But there will be 1 or 2 days in a city which will cause the havoc what it causes. And to avoid those 2 days, we have to do very little. But to do that very little is something very few cities are understanding or wanting to do. I have been spending some time in Miami where it rains a lot. And everywhere I watch, the only thing, and in about 3-4 minutes, the water disappears. The only thing is that they just work with reducing the lower areas, which is that your road has to be higher than the green area. That's it. The water automatically travels down. It's as simple as that. But in India, the biggest problem we are facing is that there is nowhere we see this as one of the options. I will take you through some of the projects which we have done, and I don't know if everyone who's here knows the issues about why the waterlogging takes place. Of course, we have poor urban planning. Drainage system is an issue. I mean, you can keep creating as many drainage systems you want, but they will never be maintained. And I will share with you why the maintenance is a very important part of ensuring that the water flows freely. Obviously, all the water bodies or all the channels which any of the cities had, and specifically Gurugram, today do not exist. They all have been constructed on, they have all been closed. So that also is causing a big problem. Obviously, urbanization is the cause and why there's so much of construction. The biggest challenge we have is that because there's so much of construction, the water is not finding space to go into the ground. And that's our problem. I mean, why should this water be flowing on the road? Because it's not getting any space to go into the ground. Yeah, next. These are pictures I don't think a surprise to anyone. We've all seen them in Delhi and Gurugram and Noida. These are pictures which we have last, I think, 15-20 days. They've been on newspaper. They've been everywhere. So yeah, and also the other problem which I think is in every city, I'm sure, but specifically in Gurugram, that our storm water drains are mixed with sewage. So what happens is that when there is excess rain and the stormwater drains are full, they are overflowing outside. They can't. They are all throwing the sewage out. So we don't have that option that we can be devoid of sewage flowing onto the ground, onto the road. It will, because it's all mixed up. And of course, at this point in time, we have enough issues on dengue and other problems. But that's something which we can deal with only if we know what to do with the water. How do we ensure that these kind of episodes don't take place? Yeah. It's important to share these 3 slides, and it's not that it's a surprise that this water has come in. So what had happened 2 years back, there was a huge flooding in Gurugram, and this flooding was in Golf Course Road as well as other parts of the city. And there was one officer who heard us. We reached out to him. We got experts from Terry University, other landscape architects, and we walked into his office and said, please hear us out what we are trying to say. We were lucky. He heard us. Thanks to Mr. Kundu, who heard us and understood what we were trying to do. Why this water is there? I mean, there's no reason why this water should be there. The reason the water is there is because we have been able to move the water from the road into these areas. Of course, we have deepened the water bodies, we have opened channels, but all this water is coming from the road. Now, what has happened is that there was Terry University did this project, or they put together a report for phase 1, which basically covered 4 creeks in Gurugram, and they suggested that from MG Road, the difference is about 60 meters. Fawzia, I'm right? It's 60 meters between MG Road to Golf Course Road. People who understand Gurugram. And if you don't also, so the water, I mean, that is the difference in level, and the water would just gush down onto the Golf Course Road, and the Golf Course Road was not able to take on that water. Today, for last 2 years, we've had no flooding in that area. Not because there is a lot was done. I mean, in the sense a lot of construction was done, just basic small stuff that hold the water before it goes to the Golf Course Road. So we created many channels, and these are beautiful sites to have the water into the forest. And we all know that if forests are flooded with water, what it would do to it will go down into the ground. Secondly, of course, it does well to the biodiversity and the plantation around. And everywhere, wherever we have been able to take water, we have deepened it. So if you see on the left-hand side, it's a forest area. We have deepened it. We are creating a public space. There can be, this all area will be used by people of the city. And one day, if this whole area is flooded, also doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Nothing stops. So that's the only thing you have to do. You have to just move the water into green areas, and that's it. Next. Now, I also want to share some of these pictures, not for anything else. Most of our cities are dumping grounds. I mean, if you look at it, we talk about our drains not being clean. The whole road is not clean. I mean, you have all the plastic which is thrown around. And that's again a big problem. That again is stopping the water from moving. And these are the 2 pictures which I want to share. The Golf Course Road flooding 3 years back. Last 2 rains, it's been fine. And what you see on the right-hand side is the picture of last 2 years. So, and also what I want to show you is that how the water we have taken into the forest, and that's the only reason why there is no flooding. So it's nothing, it's no, like we said, it's all about common sense. It's all about using, and I just saw Mansi saying it's absolutely, it's a sponge into the green area. I mean, that's it. This is it, nothing more than that. Just leave it for a period of time. If there is water collected for 2 years also in the green area, it's fine. I mean, what's a big deal about it? Next. Having said that, I'm very proudly saying that we are taking the water into the green areas it has its own challenges. There is, at this point in time, all the projects where we have worked on intervention, where we have taken on the challenge of taking water into the green areas, it all comes with its own issues. Every day there is so much of plastic which flows with the water, because obviously our cities are all full of plastic. It flows with the water, and you have to clean it for water to go in. So if you are not able to clean it, the water will hang around outside. And these are a team of our Malis who are on the ground, who are kind of cleaning it on a daily basis to ensure that the city is not flooded, and we are doing government's job of taking the water into the ground. So, I also want to add another point. So do we understand that these are open channels? You can see, and if there is a water collection, we can clean it up. But if it wasn't, if like with our drains, when the closed drains take water in, these are all full of plastic. You can't clean it every minute. You can't clean it for a long period of time. So half of our drains are always choked. You can spend crores of rupees, but the thing is, when you really need the drain to be working, it will be choked. Look at it. This is on a daily basis we go through. This is not like we are doing it one time cleaning. It's raining and our guys are standing there and doing it. So if you close the drains, you're going to have different kinds of problems. Yeah. I also want to share some pictures of what before the intervention took place, how these drains were, and after we have cleaned them. And the first picture, which was on the first slide, this is this is after we have cleaned up this whole area. The water is flowing easily. We keep it clean every day. We have a team of people who work on the ground, and that's how you're managing. And this is a picture of, on the right hand side is a bund, and which is about 5.2 kilometers. This takes all the water in this area into the ground, and we don't allow any water to come out of this area. As well as there is a stormwater drain which we are managing, and that actually is saving the city from flooding. That is a very, very important drain. A few years back, Huda, which is one of our agencies, had started to concretize it. We were fortunate that someone filed a PIL, went into NGT, and we were able to save 2 kilometers of that area, which is open. So it can take a large amount of water. And we also can keep it clean. Yeah, next. I'm only sharing, before, after pictures that Badshapur Forest Corridor, any of the projects which we have taken up were dumping grounds, and then you have worked on them and cleaned it up. So this Chakarpur Wazirabad Nala drain, which is the bund you saw, this is how the water is flowing now. And daily, when there is a rain, all this comes from the road. All this leaves and plastic and all comes from the road, and the team of Malis are cleaning them. So this is how you are ensuring that the drain is clean, and there is we have space to take as much water we want. So the advantages of just keeping your drain open is that you can see what is happening and you can do something about it. When the drains are closed, you have no idea what is happening underneath. There is no way. Can you imagine this? If it is, you can see it here, it must be going into all the drains. How do you clean it? You don't have an opportunity to clean it. You can't clean it every day. You can't clean it you will only clean it once a year. Yeah, next. Just want to share the projects which we have undertaken. Badshapur Forest Corridor is, again, it's a drain. On the drain, it was a free-flowing drain, but some years back, Huda had this brilliant idea of concretizing it. Now, when you concretize a drain, the water, there's a limitation on how much water you can take into the drain. And that's the problem which we are facing today, because one day when the drain can't take the water, you are in the state you are. And so what we have done is we have converted this Badshapur of area, a forest corridor, into a mobility corridor. You can see the picture on the left. This is how it used to be. We have managed to create a 5.6 kilometer walking track, and around that, the area which is next to it, we have turned it into a forest. So we call it a Badshapur Forest Corridor. This takes in water from residential areas. It takes in water from the road. And every of our project there are a couple of things which we keep it in mind. One is that reuse of material. Our waste is reused in every possible way. It's very interesting how we have repurposed the waste. And the other thing which we do is that the water, in every opportunity to take the water into the ground, and we will find ways of taking the water from whichever residential, wherever the opportunity from the road exists to take it into the ground. Yeah, next. I think, Fawzia, you haven't seen this project.
No, I have not. I would love to come and see this as well.
Yeah, that'll be nice. So just sharing some pictures of that on a daily basis or regularly, you will need to do these interventions where you are cleaning it, and at a regular level. You have to keep the drain clean. And if you see on the picture where there is a cyclist who's walking, I mean, these areas are used by people from all walks of life. This has become their mobility corridor. They use for going to place of work. And we have created slopes to collect the water. And you can see how the water is getting collected, and there's not a drop of water on the road or on the pathway. Yeah. Next. Yeah. So I just wanted to share, and of course there are many more projects which we have undertaken, but I felt that just to give an idea on some of the interventions which we have taken, which we have invested in, and they are helping not just the city. I mean, one is that, of course, you can say that it's helping the city, but it is also helping the biodiversity. It is also recharging the groundwater, and we are creating small water bodies. So and I feel that similar things can be done all across. It's not really that difficult. Every green area next to the road should be lower. We can take the water, we can create swales. It's if we want to do that. And we have to come out of that whole thing about creating concretized drains. And that's something very difficult to make at least government agencies understand. They only feel the way out is to create more drains, right? I mean, this is what I have understood. And we were fortunate to work with Fawzia and her team, where this project, the suggestions which came in, we kind of implemented. We have taken over more than, there's some of the interventions they've suggested, and we are still working on them. But it's unfortunate that the phase 2 is not done. So if this is successful, one would say, hey, why are we not doing the phase 2? Why don't we take this to the next level? Why don't we have all roads coming like this? But that's a different topic and story. Yeah, so thanks for giving me the opportunity to, and I'll be happy to take any questions. And anytime you guys, any of you want to come and see the projects which we have undertaken, we'll be very happy to take you around.
Yeah, thank you very much, Latika. I know every time I listen to you, it's so inspiring. And thanks for, making us a part of your project. And we were really delighted to work on that. It was during COVID time that we did that. So that was something that perhaps, does require a lot of mention, because when most people were confined to their homes, we were walking on the roads of Gurugram to just figure out, what best we could do there. I think, what Latika has mentioned right now is perhaps, the tip of the iceberg. They're doing many things out there. there. So even the biodiversity park, which is there, I think has been like, they were one of the crucial partners in developing the Aravali Biodiversity Park. We are recently, like, we are also doing a study on its water conservation or water harvesting potential. We have just concluded that study and should be sharing a report shortly with Hero. Besides that, I think the Sikandarpur forest, I think you showed some of the pictures from the roadside, but within the Sikandarpur forest also, they have done a good job with regard to, I think, reviving the pond inside that. But also what she was talking about, repurposing waste, I think I've been witness to that, where I've seen those little check dams that they have made with the construction and demolition debris, the tiles and the waste concrete, which is, again, you know, slowing down the flow of water and helping it recharge. So I had also taken my students for a field trip. I think for a water student, nothing could be better than what they are doing to really understand on ground what little efforts can be undertaken. And I think our students really enjoyed it thoroughly. So thank you very much, Latika. We will come back to questions, but before that, I have a young discussant. So in our format, we always keep youth there. And I have a student from the Water Science, MSc Water Science and Governance, Meghma Mitra, who has joined us. She's currently doing her internship at SRI. And that's why you can see that amazing background behind Meghma. She is highly inclined towards learning and discovering the core issues behind urban water scarcity and planning, water resources management, conflicts in water sustainability, and integrated resource recovery practice in the water sector, especially in the urban level. She has got a master's in geography from Presidency University and specialized in river science. She has been also helping us out in our project, the recent project that we are doing in the Aravali Biodiversity Park for Hero. So over to you, Meghma, to share your thoughts and share your questions first to Latika, and then maybe we can open it up for everyone.
Hello, good evening. I was really looking forward towards this talk after having been a part of the project Fawzia ma'am was talking about right now. So there are 2-3 points I really got from this. Is that first, when you mentioned that no matter what kind of planning is done in the drainage sector, there will be at least 1 or 2 days when the stormwater drains will be overflowing. So to manage that, how the green areas, like in terms of sponges or in terms of regular interventions in cleaning of the closed drains, where we think that, okay, it's closed, so it might be all properly managed, you know, as compared to the open drains. So how those things can be done, and specifically in the recent flood which we saw last, like a week or so before, which happened in Delhi, there was this talk going on that it might be a 50-year flood which might have happened this time, and how are we not prepared on something which we are terming it as a floodplain? Like, if it is termed as floodplain, it has some meaning towards having the word flood in it. So recently, the master plan for Delhi, the 2041, they have also incorporated this natural sponges, like the sponge city concept from China. They have tried to incorporate some sectors of those green roofs, biofuels, and everything. So 2 questions which I have been thinking about. First one is that the national highway which cuts through Gurugram and goes to Jaipur, if we look at it from the left and the right hand side, so there's this old Gurugram and the new Gurugram city where most of the MNCs and the private sector development is focused on. So it's like there have been also many discussions on it that it's a lopsided development. Like on the left side, the roads are very narrow and the drains are not properly managed as compared to the new Gurugram, where, you know, the metro connectivity and the transport system all is going good. So if we try to incorporate this blue-green solutions into this, what they are terming as old Gurugram, what are the possible like shortcomings of tackling these 2 areas in a more leveled way? and not in a lopsided way. So that's the first question. And the second question is kind of related to encroachments. Like the project we have been doing in the Aravali Biodiversity Park in Gurugram. Over there had been some issues regarding the boundary of that park and the built-up encroachments. So it's like I have been reading your Sikandarpur Pahari projects write-up as well on the website. Over there, it was mentioned that there were some issues regarding the migrant laborers who were there in that area as encroachments. So it's like, how does these projects go on and tackle all these boundary issues or all these encroachment issues where people are involved? That's it.
Thanks, Meghna. First of all, you're giving me a lot of credit for knowing all this. I don't know as much as you think I can answer to you on, but I'll make an attempt. First of all, I'll talk about Biodiversity Park, close to my heart. We have, of course, worked very hard to get it to where it is today. And we are happy that today there is Hero who's taking it to the next level. See, the encroachments are very much part of the city. You can do whatever you feel like. You can't get rid of that. Also, what is the other problem which we are facing in every and I can only talk about Gurugram. And you have specifically asked me about Gurugram. So Biodiversity Park is surrounded by areas which are private, which are held by private people, where the land belongs to them. So that's a fact. So there is a forest area, then there is private area. This is something only government can decide on how much important forest area is and what they should do to ensure that you can take them at at the periphery. They are not as part of they're not in the middle of the forest. So that part is very, very difficult. We struggled with it. There were so many encroachments, and I can't even tell you, when we started working on it, 70% of the park was encroached. So what you see today of 380 is not encroached, but everything outside of that is encroached. So earlier, 200 of that was encroached. So slowly we have moved them out, planted, and that area has got created. These are always challenges on how to deal with encroachments. And this can only be done by the government agencies. Though I feel Biodiversity Park, we can take as much water we want because there are low areas, the forest is doing very well. So there's never be a shortfall on how much water we can take into the forest area. So that's on Biodiversity Park. You asked me a question on the highway. So I am again not equipped to answer, but I will try based on what I understand about how to deal with water today in terms of why road water needs to go into green areas. If you look at the highway, both sides of the highway has green belts around it. Actually, you don't need to do much. You just need to get that water into the green belt. There is really, I mean, if I were to stand there, and I am saying this with the utmost honesty, that you were to stand there, all that water from the highway can be put into the green areas. There is nothing that will stay there, but somebody has to do it. Somebody wanting to do it, and most of the time we are faced with this challenge of local administration, NHAI, other agencies, and I feel. None of these construction agencies want to do anything without construction. So unless you change your way of thinking, it is not today, it is not tomorrow. Always we will have this problem. It's flooding today, but it could be, this flooding will never get over. We will, next year also will cry horse, next year also will cry horse. So you will have to find solutions on moving the water into green area. There is no other options we have. The water level will always increase. The construction is, more and more construction is taking place. What is the way out? Otherwise, the water will stay on the road. So we will cry, and everybody will forget about this flooding 2 days later. And that's the issue. If it is flooding for next 1 month, then only people will, the government agencies will understand what the struggle is. Here it is. Can you imagine? We were closing schools. We were telling that cyclists and mobile guys should not go on the road. Can you believe that? Because it is flooding. I mean, that is what we have come to, and that's really a pity. I mean, I personally feel very sad that this is what we had reached to. That don't go on the road because the city is flooded. So I guess we will have to. It's all about mindset. It's all about what we want to do. I personally think we are fortunate that some of these interventions have taken place in the city with some officers, but in my mind, it should move to the next level and next level. And it can where it is.
Ramesh, sorry, Latika. Ramesh sir, please अपने आप को mute करके रखिए. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So that's the answer I can give you. Old Gurgaon is in deep shit because of the drains are not working. There is no space. There's too much of construction. They will have to find solutions. They will have to find solution. We have to keep a check on construction. And also, I think the other issue which I feel is that because of so much of waste on the road also blocks your movement of water. So there are many issues. It's just not that the water, and there are places where you will have to make drain also. So I can't say that drains are not important. Everything is important depending on where it's needed and what it will do to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Meghma. I hope you got your answer. I think very important to connect the blue, green, gray, and optimize what is required where. I think that's perfectly put, Latika. So I'll now thanks Meghma for those very incisive questions. I think they really need a whole lot of research, but Latika has put it pretty well. And I hope you get it. So now I have Aditi in the chat box. She has questions. Aditi, would you like to unmute and ask your questions? At the same time, I'll request the other participants also. Thank you, all of you, for joining. You also maybe think of any questions that you have to Latika, and maybe you can raise your hands and you can ask the questions. But I'll invite Aditi first to speak up. Aditi.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am. It was a very insightful session, and I had two questions. First one is purely out of my curiosity, because there are many problems in the present world, especially relating to water, as we've been seeing lately, be it Himachal Pradesh, be it Delhi, or be it the NCR regions. So, how do you plan to work on a project? And there are many things involved, right? It's
I think we are not able to hear you. Are you there, Aditi? So maybe I'll just read the questions which Aditi has put in the chat box. So firstly, she says that she's curious to know how you identify the projects that you wish to undertake and how is the plan of action finalized. And the second question is, as you mentioned, that there are very simple solutions to the problems we face. She's wondering if capacity building regarding drainage or plastic management at different stages involving communities and workers would somehow help to solve these issues.
Okay, I'll answer second first. I totally agree with you. Everywhere there has to be a process of managing plastic or managing, how the city should be running in terms of waste. So, and of course, communities and everybody is equally important part of that whole cycle. So yes, that needs to be done, and there is no end to it. It can never stop. It has to be a continuous process. As for the first question, how do we manage to do? One that we started with Biodiversity Park, we made a success of it. We have been fortunate that we got full support from the government agencies, and then one thing led to another, and the corporates in Gurugram who keep trusting us and keep wanting for us to keep do more and more. And that's how we are getting more projects. Like I always say, nothing succeeds like success. If you do projects with integrity, with kind of vision, which will help the city, more and more comes your way. We've been fortunate that the government agencies also reach out to you. So it's not that we are chasing government agency, it's a partnership. We kind of work together and manage to get the project. So it's not it's not that we are going and only looking for it. It's both ways. And yeah, so we've been at this point in time, we are working on 7 projects. Yeah, we work with there are 3 or 4 local agencies in Gurugram, Forest and other agencies, and we work with everybody.
Aditi, I know you dropped out in between, but I hope you can listen to the recording later and maybe hear the response to your questions. So anybody else in the audience, if you have in the participants, if you have any questions, you can just a show of hand would be good. I can see some comments coming in there. In fact, if I don't see anybody asking any question, then maybe I can. Mansi, yes, go ahead. Huh?
Yeah. Thank you, Latika. Fawzia, you may also go before me actually, but yes, a wonderful presentation and very inspiring to see how just common sense and some sensitivity towards ecology can do wonders in this kind of situation. My question to you is, when we go for these land parcels where we would like to make biodiversity or leave these drains and all, are there any negotiations on the land use part of it, particularly the drains, because they are designated very differently now in urban setups? So how that negotiation happens and what land use they are assigned to, because otherwise drains are considered as wastelands and often they are not even marked in the maps as drains, or they are either they are shared by the adjacent plots. So did you really face anything like this when you worked on these water channels, which we call unfortunately as drains?
Absolutely. So most of the projects which we work on are defined in the sense that what the status of that land is, which could be a drain. If it's a drain, it belongs to one particular agency. If it is forest, it belongs to another agency. And there is an MOU which you have with the government. And before even we start, we kind of understand the status, because if we work on a project and they want to make a road or they want to break down, it's not something which we will accept. So you do a lot of understanding on why we are taking up. You'll be surprised that while we were working on the drain, can you imagine a part of the drain was sold for making houses? And there are they are approached to, they've given land to a developer to that you can build houses there or whatever. So yes, of course you have those challenges. In fact, there have been for years there was this drain where some part of the drain belonged to somebody. I mean, it was privately held. And he every monsoon used to take rent to allow the water to go from there. Can you imagine? So when we came on the site, so I don't understand. So my one of the problems which we face is that I don't understand gray area. Either the land belongs to you or it doesn't belong to you. We cannot, at least when Iamgurgaon is working on a project, if somebody tells me, or if any official tells me that, okay, it doesn't matter if he has an encroachment, let him be, you make it from the other side, give him little space. I don't understand. And we don't accept it. So if it is government land, it is government land. And the other advantage is that we don't have anything to, I don't need to worry about who thinks what about us, or somebody will come and tell us that you can't do it. You have to do the right thing and you have to fight for it. It takes a lot of guts to do that. I have stories and stories about how many court cases have gone, we've been dealing with, and what all happens to us. But if you are honest about what you're doing and you do the right way, the word spreads around, and the next project becomes easier and easier, that they're not going to give in, because this land doesn't belong to you. So yes, for sure, you have all kind of challenges. Somewhere you have to understand that the land's already sold and you can't do anything about it. So you have to work around it. But if the land is with the government agency, we will fight for it. We ensure that at least that part of it, nobody can encroach. But if the part which is already sold, we can't do much about it. So there are lots and lots of stories. One day, maybe, I should write a book on what happens in a city. So it's crazy what all happens and how many phone calls go to people. But I have realized that whether it is whether it's politicians, whether it is administration, when they know a good thing is happening, they kind of keep away. They don't like you to make those exceptions. So I mean, people are also reasonable. We can keep saying about if you're doing the right way, they will somehow learn to accept it.
Fawzia, Meghma, may I sneak in another little question with your due permission?
Yeah, Mansi, just give me a second.
Sure.
I think Professor Ajit has put some comments in the chat box. I missed taking that, and maybe I'll come back to you. So that's about the rainwater harvesting, Latika. That's another thing that we have been really struggling in most cities, where the government norms are about rainwater harvesting, and every building that all the DLF high rises which are there, they do have rainwater harvesting. But that's sort of most of them are non-functional, and the cleaning and other things, maintenance, and also I think a lot of them open in the stormwater drain as well, rather than really charging the groundwater, or maybe storing and using it. So what are your thoughts on the rainwater harvesting policy, and also with regard to implementation and people's perspective towards it? You are living in Gurugram, so maybe you could throw some light on that as well.
There is a policy that exists. Everybody has to do rainwater harvesting. The issue is that, and I blame the people of the city, do they do it? One, who is checking it? Second, third, do we clean it regularly? So it's not that you have done rainwater harvesting once it's over. The problem is over. The rainwater harvesting also requires cleaning as much as any other thing requires cleaning. So we have, it's just not the government's problem. I mean, of course, when you have to take your permissions, occupation certificates and all, you need a rainwater harvesting. But who checks it? And does it work? Have you gone deep down? You cleaning it? Those challenges still exist. So unless people also want to make they also would like things to work, and you are going to take shortcuts, then you deserve what you get. If your city is flooded, you deserve it. Why is the water from a residential condo area coming out on the road? Why should it not be managed in your area? I don't understand. Why should it come out of the road? It should be in your area. I mean, you're a fool to be putting water out. Take it into your green belts. And so I mean, we deserve what we get, actually. Honestly, I sometimes feel we just deserve what we get. People should not grumble. Absolutely. We are selfish. We don't want to do anything. We want to take all the water from our house into outside. But we don't want to do anything about it inside. We don't want to, it's not our problem. So then
it's not pinching them actually enough to take action. I think they're still waiting for it to pinch them harder, really.
You throw waste outside, you do a thing, you don't want to manage. Some things have to be managed yourself.
Absolutely.
You concretize areas outside your home because it should look clean. Then somewhere the water will go. How can you say I am concretizing, but it's not my problem? Then
I agree. I think in your projects, interestingly, if those of you who have not been to Gurugram, because I've been to at least the Chakarpur Wazirabad Band area, and also the Aravali Biodiversity Park, I think, most of the walkway and the cycle tracks and everything is around, it's pervious. So actually it allows water to infiltrate. And thing that perhaps, that you have done, at least, in the little portions which have been actually, you see some bit of gray, but that gray is not like an impervious layer that you have done. So that's absolutely brilliant. A lot to learn from there. Mansi, over to you. I think I keep talking to Latika quite often. So
yeah, thank you. Thank you, Fawzia. No, my question was actually related to the way we do building development or urban development. Latika, you are in such a position, maybe we can think of suggesting some policy tool to really convert these drains back into sponges. So I'm just wanting to understand, have you come across any situation where the transfer of development rights can be really exercised to reclaim the drains? Because I strongly believe that in the last 70, 75 years, there has been some effort to protect the water bodies, as in, just in isolation, but not realizing that the water bodies are connected to each other, and drains went for a toss because it had no land use. And those drains, which or even natural streams which had land use, they were called as drains or wastelands. So can we really try looking at the literature on transferable TDR, which is transferable development rights? So those who have already encroached upon the lakes or the drains, can we do something about it? Or have you come across something like this which has been exercised by the local government? I'm asking you this because there are many cities in the world now which are actually reclaiming developed areas back into wetlands. And I think we are going to go that route in some years from now. I am very confident and optimistic that I'm going to see that in my lifetime. I use it in the literature of de-development. So pehle development kar liya hai, now undoing the thing. So my students are always here. So have you come across de-development coming our way in India?
As we talk, there is a forest amendment bill which is getting tabled.
Yes.
We might lose 30% of our forest area, which is again going to be same challenge on what you're saying just now. That,
but it's a disastrous bill.
Yeah, that's a disastrous bill, and you know what will happen. We all know what will happen. So I think it's the same thing. What has happened on the drains? I mean, I know I live in Gurugram, and I know DLF, which is made, which has done construction on the drain. They have created their gates on the drain. They have done lots of that stuff. So once the drain is blocked, it's closed. You have got construction around it. It's very difficult. It was very, very, very difficult for anybody to do anything about it. Only till the drain is, maybe it is destroyed in the sense that it is full of plastic, it is got full of malba, whatever, you can still reverse it. Once the, what's happening on the water bodies today? A ghata, which is Gurgaon's Ghata Lake, with stories written about it, used to be a 300 acres of water body. Can I tell you what is left of it? 4 acres. And that also, you cannot have a water body in the sense that you can't get the water. You will have to artificially try and get the water. So, I mean, we worked on the Ghata project. On that Ghata project, the only way we will be able to get some water is if we get the water from the road. We are taking sewage in from the areas around it in the village and cleaning it. And that's how the water body is coming up. Whether it was Sikandarpur project, again, I mean, half of it is sewage, which we are cleaning and getting it in. There isn't enough water. Where will the water come from? The rainwater can be just that limited. We don't have a river in Gurugram. We don't have any way of getting water. The only water we can get in real sense is sewage. If you can clean in sewage and get it into the water bodies, all water body channels are closed. All water body channels are closed. You can keep saying whatever, they come in the rain, whatever little gets collected, rest is all closed. You can't, like they say, we are reviving a water body. You can only revive a water body by getting rainwater during monsoon season, or getting sewage, or find a way of getting sewage treated water into it. There is no natural water which is coming into any of these water bodies any longer.
That's story all over the country, huh?
That's my understanding of most of it. And Fawzia, would I be right or not? I don't know. But
no, I think
that's
you're
the story.
absolutely right. All hydrologic. I think Gurugram also has. I think the topographical maps that we saw long ago. I think it had more than 600 ponds, and then I think recently also around 400 plus ponds have been mapped. Unfortunately, all of them are dry. Some of them are being revived, but then, as Latika pointed out, it's being revived using wastewater from the village nearby, and that's it. The natural hydrological channels, which were there, have been all blocked. DLF, when we were doing, in fact, Latika, the project that we were doing on the blue-green thing, on the Golf Course Road, we realized that these DLF apartments have come on top of the creeks. So the 4 creeks that we worked on, we realized that all the DLF apartments are on top of those creeks, so they're blocking the creeks as well. So they say that they have sort of allowed the water to flow beneath, but I don't know really whether that's true or that's blocked or that's really happening. Nobody knows about it. So yeah, we can just go on and on with this. There's so much to be done in every city. So when we see Delhi getting flooded, for instance, Delhi is spread over 1,500 square kilometers and has large number of green spaces. Look at the number of parks that we have in Delhi. Why can't those parks be used as places for diverting the water from the road? In fact, even in Vasant Kunj, where I live, there are stretches of the Aravali forest, which I see, but I see the roads are at a lower level and the forest is at a higher level. So all the water accumulates on the road itself. So thank you very much, Latika. I think we don't have any more questions and I can continue my talk with you. But I think it's 6 o'clock and it's time for us to end the talk. It was wonderful listening to you. Very inspiring stories. More power to you and your team. I think an excellent example of a difference that a very committed group of citizens can make. Definitely, you should write about your story for more people to learn. And I would say educational institutions who are planning to create water leaders should take the benefit of these projects and take their students to these projects to really learn, what we call learning by observing, or experiential learning, or whatever, project-based learning, whatever you call, in the technical terms of pedagogy. But I think these are excellent examples. Thank you very much, Latika, for taking our time today for this talk. Thank you, Meghma, for I know you are on your internship and I pulled you out from there today. Thanks for joining and those very incisive questions. Thank you all the participants. A lot of them have left, but thank you. In fact, today I had somebody join from Delft also. One of my colleagues from there, Riva. She's from Lebanon, but in Delft, and she joined from there today. So it was good to see her as well. Thank you, Mansi and the entire team. I see Monami there, Prashaka and Monica and whoever helped in putting this together. Thank you very much and have a great evening. And Mansi, if I have missed talking about next Friday, I think on our next Friday, we have a session on water arts. And it's about making water everybody's business with Namrata Bujoria. So those of you who are around and if you have time, do join us on Friday. And then we have a Monday and the next Wednesday. So we invite you to be with us on all these days. Thank you and have a great evening.